Hello, everyone in the Facebook group Artfully Connected with me, Cindy Harrison. Welcome tonight to tonight's episode of Meet the Artist. And tonight we are welcoming Mark Menendez.
Hello.
Thank you, Mark, for being here.
You're welcome. Great to be here.
I've got some easy questions. Well,
Yay.
Some people might say a few are not so easy, but some easy questions and for you. And I want to just thank everyone who's joining us tonight. Feel free to ask questions in the comment section and we'll try to get them answered. If we don't do it live, Mark will come back periodically if you tag him and he will answer your questions for you. So first off, real easy. Can you tell us where you're from?
Yes, I was born in Tampa, Florida. And now we are living in Zephyr Hills, a little bit north of there.
Oh, and in Tampa, so you're in Florida.
Yes.
Ooh.
You thought I was in North Carolina, right?
It kind of thought you were, well, I actually kind of pictured you more out west.
Really?
I don't know why. That's just the way I am going. So did you have any effects from the hurricane, the storms that are coming through or have gone through there?
Just a lot of rain. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, a lot of rain could be too much sometimes, right?
Wasn't too bad.
Did you see the news where the alligator was or crocodile or something was going down the street?
Yes.
I think of Florida when I see that.
That's a good lesson not to get in the water when the hurricane's gone through.
Right, definitely. So the next easy question is, did you come from an artistic family?
Not really.
No?
My father was an auto body repairman, and my mother was a grocer. Now, my brother used to do some drawing. In fact, he got me started, but he never had patience. I think he used it all up trying to teach me to draw. And so he was the only one that really did any drawing.
So he demonstrated some artistry.
Yeah.
So when did you start? When did you start realizing that you had artistic ability?
Well, I just mentioned my brother. His name was Richard. And I said my mother was a grocer. So we had a little corner grocery store. My brother was 10 years older than me. He was the closest one in age to me. And one day, while he was in the store helping mom and I was there, it started raining, and he knew that I would get into trouble if I didn't have something to do. So he turned to me and he said, "Mark, would you like to learn how to write?" And I said, "Sure." Now, I was 2 years old. He was 12. That's pretty young to start writing. So he took a steno pad that we used to sell there and a pen, and he said, "I want you to copy everything I do. Watch how I form these letters and just do everything I did." So he wrote his name, my name, mom's name, dad's name, and I wrote them all. Well, that was great. I really enjoyed that. But then he really changed my life by the next thing he asked me. He said, "Would you like to learn how to draw?" And anything he suggested, I was all for. So he said, "Let's draw our favorite television hero." So he drew a picture of Zorro, which I copied in the same manner that I did the writing. He said, "Watch what I do, and you do the same thing." Well, to me, that was magic. That was absolute magic, that you could create something on a sheet of paper. So from then on, in that little corner of the store, I sat and drew and drew and drew forever. I loved it. So he got me started.
So you were only a couple years old?
Yeah, 2 years old. I wish I'd known you were going to ask the question, because I still have the drawings and the written letters there that I did with the names of my family. That's because mom kept everything.
I was going to ask you that too. My goodness, I can't even imagine. So, oh, it's all in you.
But yeah, I
It's
mean, it changed my life. Later on, I started taking some classes when I was 13, and my instructor, who's my real mentor, her name was Mrs. Austin K. Angle. So by that time, I had been drawing for 10 years. So I could draw faces, people, animals, just about anything. And she really taught me how to use oil paints, watercolors, pastels, everything.
wow. So you just answered my next two questions. You
I
know that, right?
didn't mean to be psychic. I'm usually not.
So then did you started in drawing,
Mhm.
you morphed into trying other mediums because of your teacher, your mentor.
That's correct.
And so when did you start teaching, or when did you decide that this is you wanted to go into teaching what you know to other people?
Well, taking from Miss Angle, and she noticed that I already had a lot of skills. Even though I could draw people, faces, everything, she sat me down in front of a sphere, a cone, a cube, and a cylinder. And she would change the lighting and the position of these forms. She had me draw them for 3 months. So finally, I remember I'm 13 years old. I finally had enough nerve to speak up. So I asked her, I said, Mrs. Angle, because I was 13, my voice was changing. I said, Mrs. Angle, is there anything else I can draw besides the sphere and the cone and the cube and the cylinder? And she said, why, of course, Mark, what have you been using to draw with? And I said, a pencil. She said, good, now you may do them in charcoal. But she only had me do that for 2 more weeks. From then on, she kind of paced me through many of the media very quickly. So I did charcoal and then pastel. Soon as I got real comfortable with the media, she would move me to the next one. So I did watercolor after that, and then finally I did oils. So after 3 years with her, I was 16 years old, she surprised me one day and she said, Mark, I really have taught you everything that I can possibly teach you. You've done it all and done it well. So I wonder if you would consider becoming my assistant and help me to teach the other youngsters. So that blew me away. I mean, I just never ever considered being a teacher. I always just wanted to be an artist. So the first day that I helped with the other students, I discovered something. I discovered that I enjoyed teaching even more than I enjoy creating art. So I'm going to be hitting my 50th year of teaching pretty soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And congratulations. That's
Thank you.
amazing. But what an honor. That's like a real honor for the teacher to recognize in you a potential that it's, again, yet another magical moment, I think.
It was. It was.
Mm. So you've always been a designer though from the get-go, even though at 2 you were imaging, like imaging what your brother did, but you were designing on your own all this time. You'd see something and you'd be able to put it on paper.
Yeah, big influence too is comic books, Superman and Batman. And that's why I was able to do people, is because I would look in the comic books that we sold in the store and I would draw them over and over again until I became very skilled with anatomy and faces and everything. So.
Yeah, you mentioned oils, pastels, watercolor, charcoal pencils. You never touched acrylics?
Yeah, later. I went to the University of Tampa afterwards, and they didn't allow oil paint, so I had my first experience with acrylics. So I can teach every media. I've even taught airbrush before. So, I mean, I can do it. But
Wow.
I love color pencil. Color pencil is my medium. I really enjoy that and enjoy teaching it very much.
So you mentioned that color pencil is your favorite medium. What's your favorite subject matter?
Portraits.
Portraits, huh?
Yeah,
And do you teach those as well?
I do. I just wrote a how-to portrait book last year. It's available on the website for those that are interested.
And I posted the website in the description of this, so you can go find it. You can say it again. Tell them again.
MenendezArtStudio.com.
So how do you come up with your designs? Is it something that is in your head, you see in your head, your mind's eye, or is it something, do you get it both that way and physically in front of you?
Either photographs I take myself or I pay for photographs, royalty-free photographs to use.
So that's your designs.
Yeah,
Cool.
I can also, I can do it from life, but it's just easier, especially when you're designing packets like we do and other teaching materials.
So Nancy's saying that Mark does beautiful studying oils as well as pencil. I've seen some in person. You really learn from him if you've never taken a class from him. So she lives in Florida too. Nancy Richard?
Nancy Richard, okay.
Yeah, she lives in Florida too.
Well,
So
thank you, Nancy.
So, and Janelle's here. Thank you. And Vicki, Noreen, everyone, thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions for Mark, please feel free to ask them in the comments section. Okay, so do you have a favorite technique?
That's a great question. Favorite technique? Well, yes. I find that one of the most misunderstood things in drawing and painting is value. And I have a really unique method of teaching that. And it's part of my teaching in just about every class. And I look for 4 values in every form. In other words, when light strikes a form, I break it down into 4 basic values to start with. Now, to get a nice, true fullness of form, it's best to have more than 4 values. But anything greater than 4 is a little complicated and hard to pick out. So the 4 that I pick, and I use my hands to do this, are highlight, light, shadow, and deep shadow. So if you pick a color category or a color that you see as the color of the object, then you look for the lightest version of it, the light version of it, the shadow version, and the most important one is the deep shadow version. The deep shadow is probably the one that is least recognized by individuals, and by omitting it, you don't get the fullness of form that you should. So by picking those 4, when you start blending whatever medium you're using in, you will then develop 3 intermediate tones in between that. If you need to lighten a little bit more by adding more white, or darkening when you darken a little bit more on this end, you now raise that to 9 values, which is a very nice full form. Now, my fingers got really complicated in that explanation, and that's why we only look for the 4, because that's a lot more simple.
And very, yes, I agree all the way on that one. The more, the better. Was it the 7 is heaven? I heard too, so
Yeah. Yes,
yeah, 3 is never enough.
Never enough. Although Rembrandt was talented enough to pull it off with 3, but we won't go there.
Right. That was before our time.
Yeah.
Do you have, if you were an acrylic painter, most of the time I ask them if they have a favorite brush. I mean, it's like, how can I ask, do you have a favorite pencil? Because they're all kind of like,
all the same.
eh.
Well, I do use brushes. So
Okay.
I like the Dynasty black gold.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I would say the next thing would be like, do you have a favorite tool? I mean, because I know with colored pencil artists, you have blending tools or or you can use odorless mineral spirits, or other things. Do you use things like that in your work?
Probably the favorite tool, and this usually gains a lot of interest during the seminars, is our battery operated electric eraser. Covers a multitude of sin.
So you're gonna share with us the brand?
Well, the one that we offer at our seminars is a Helix. And they're all about the same. They're all made in the same factory somewhere in Asia. They just make different colored outer cases and put somebody else's name on. But Helix is the one we sell. They sell for a little bit under $15 or right at $15. And people love them. Once they see them, they don't care how much they cost. They want one.
So like I heard, I'm not a pencil person. I mean, I have sets, but I've never
See one
touched
right
them.
there.
Is it the kind that like shaves it, or what is it? There's different ways, you know what I'm talking about? Like the way that it sharpens.
Uh-huh.
Does it sharpen with
Elect-
layers?
No, that's an eraser. So the eraser is the electric thing. I do use electric pencil sharpeners too, but I use handheld ones occasionally as well.
Okay.
So my favorite tool is the eraser because I make a lot of mistakes. That's why I'm such an
That's
expert.
why it gets rid of a multitude of sins. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't have one of those. I might have to invest in
Well,
one.
once you see it, you'll want one.
Ooh, and you don't have one there to show us though.
I don't. I brought the pencils, but I said, I know I'm not going to need the eraser because I won't be making any mistakes tonight.
You just never know.
And I couldn't erase the screen very well, so.
No, you can't. What is your best tip?
My best tip. Be like me. Don't use your brain. Use your eyes. The brain is the enemy of art. Eyes supply all the information you need. You need to quiet the brain and open your eyes.
That's good. That's good. I once did painting, and the person who was my partner at the time, I was painting the 16th hole of golf course in Arizona, Scottsdale. And the hole was an island and there's water behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was painting it with my eyes. Mm-hmm. So at the angle you're at, you only see 3 sides of the island have water.
Right.
I know there's water behind there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the water.
Right.
She couldn't get past that. You've got to paint it. It's there. No, you don't. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
May I give an example?
Yes, please.
I just taught a student. She was portraying a portrait of her daughter's wedding. They got married in Hawaii. And the photograph she was using was a photograph with the sun going down behind the couple. So their white tuxedo and white wedding dress were darker than the sky. And she couldn't get past using white on the dress and on the thing because that's what she remembered. So she was using her brain, not her eyes. So I gave her a few tips on how to get past that. Interesting though, she said, when I stand back, I can see the difference, but when I'm working on it up close, I can't see the colors. So I showed her all the colors, and they were blue and mauve and peach was all over the clothing. So once you point it out, then they can see it. And they say, I didn't see that before. I said, no, you saw it. You just didn't identify it.
Exactly. And that's why your eyes are so important.
That's right.
Definitely. So here's a wild card question. And again, I want to just thank everyone for coming tonight and visiting with Mark and myself. If you have any questions, please do ask them in the comments. Nancy's asking, are your favorite pencils still the Prismacolor or the other kind? I don't even want to pronounce because I'll get it wrong.
Carandiache.
That one.
Nancy's been paying attention. So I have been using Prismacolor Premier pencils since 1985. And I do like them a lot. But I'm doing some exploration with Carandiache. Carandiache is a water-soluble pencil. They have different types, but one of them is called Supracolor. It is a water-soluble pencil. Some people call it a watercolor pencil. I held off trying them for a long time because they have a reputation of being a little bit more expensive. And I had already developed my technique with the Prismacolor. So I have a friend who has an art store in Sarasota, Florida, who asked me, why in the world do you use Prismacolor pencils? Because they're troublesome sometimes. Company does not care too much about its users. I've tried to contact them for years, even on emails to the company, and they just don't even respond. They're terrible. So they're owned by a big company, but Carandiache is a small company. They're in Switzerland. So he talked me into trying the pencils, and I did. And what I wanted to do was to see if I could make them perform the same way that I do with the Prismacolor pencils. After all, I've developed this technique since 1985. They worked identically, but there was benefits. Number one, Prismacolor pencils, because they're soft wax, they break a lot and they wear down fast. Well, the Carandiache pencils do not wear out as much because they have a heavier pigment content and they don't break like the other ones do. And you mentioned using turpentine or something to dissolve the wax. Well, you have to do that with Prismacolor because they are made of wax, but I never use that because that's one of the most lethal things you can do is use turpentine or mineral spirits or any other solvent to liquefy the wax. So after I do my technique in the Carandiache pencils, identically to the way I do them in Prismacolor, I can simply take a brush with a minimal amount of water in it and blend the colors. And the colors become vibrant and stunning when you do that. So I didn't really answer the question. I'm still using Prismacolor, but I'm also using some Carandiache as I advance here.
But it's very interesting. I'm very intrigued by that because, yeah, after the first one or two Prismacolor classes I took, I went out and bought like every pencil at the time that was available. And so I have the cases with them in there. Again, don't take them out, but I have them. And but now I really want to look into the new pencils that you're talking about.
Oh, they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
I know they're not new to the industry, but
see, I'm writing a book right now. There's the cover.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. I'm gonna have to go check that out. So is there a medium subject or a technique that you haven't tried yet that you'd like to try?
Probably the only one that I haven't tried that's gotten pretty popular lately is the wax medium, if I can think of the name now. I just had it and then I lost my mind.
Encaustics?
Yes, encaustic painting. I've never tried that before. I might like it. It seems a lot of involved thing. You know, the simplicity of the pencils is hard to beat.
The ability to travel with them too. You can bring them wherever. Yeah, right. Oh my goodness.
So you see, I keep them in a box like this.
Yep.
And I don't have to select them pluck them out of those leather cases with the little straps.
That's what I got.
Yeah, I know everybody. They get those things, they go, ooh, pretty. But this is a little more functional because I can just reach into a color category and find my pencil.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, after, 35 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have some questions.
Okay.
I've only bought a couple of the others.
The other
Oh,
pencil.
I guess Janelle says, "Yay, I'm glad you're trying other brands of pencils." That's what Janelle said. So I guess Nancy's going to be trying out some other ones. It's all about the budget, right? But what's nice is like, even though you said, and I've heard that before, that they're a little bit more expensive, but now you're telling us they last longer.
Right.
They're heavier pigmented, and
Yes.
you can blend them a little bit with just a little touch of water.
A little
So
bit of water.
yeah, so you've saved money because
Yeah.
they last longer, and you don't have to buy the oil mineral spirits.
Yeah. And poison yourself.
There you go. Especially with a lot of people, we're with the allergies and stuff like that. You don't want to
Exactly.
do that. Okay, so Teresa's asking, will you be teaching with the new style, the new pencils, the crayons?
Not on this project. The project that we'll be doing, the Bluebird, which is right here. This is done with the Prismacolor pencils. So we're still using the traditional ones, but little by little, I've been doing some of the crayon gouache and seminars too.
So yeah, someone was asking if you would, can you design, I just lost it again. Can he design a piece with limited new pencils that he is using and teach an artful webinar class? So that's the one you're doing for us coming up soon.
Right.
So the question would be, is there one that you can you do another project using the new ones, but be a limited amount,
Sure.
so that they're not such a big investment for the right off the bat?
Yeah, we would probably do something simple like still life, maybe an apple or something, where you would just use a certain amount of pencils. That way you have limited pencils, and also you can learn the medium that way, not getting into something too intricate.
Right. That's good. Because I think that I think they all want to try it, just like me. I'd like to try it, but I don't want to invest too much right off the bat.
Sure, because you don't know if you're going to like it or not.
Take it baby.
That's why I got into pencils in the first place, is because with 10 or 12 pencils, a sheet of paper, and an eraser, a person who has absolutely no background in art can give it a try without much investment. If they like it, they can get open stock and just add more pencils as they need them.
So Linda would like, or is it Lynn, would like you to show them your box of pencils again.
So, do you want me to tell you how I got into the box of pencils?
Yes, please.
Oh, look at that again. You see the chart?
Oh, cool.
Okay. So what happened was this was probably around 1995. I was teaching a class, doing a demonstration, teaching them how to do an apple in Prismacolor. At the time, there were only 60 pencils available. So I had them all thrown together in a cigar box. So as I'm doing the demonstration, I had one of my students, and her name is Kathy Fessenbecker. I like to always say her name because it's fun to say, and give her credit for this. So she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm demonstrating how to do an apple." She said, "No, what's with the box?" I said, "Well, that's where I keep my pencils." She says, "Yeah, but I'm watching you, and you're reaching into the box. You're not even looking. You just grab pencils. How do you know which pencils to use?" And I answered in the lousiest answer a teacher can offer. I said, "I don't know." Well, she said, "That's not good enough. you're supposed to teach us, and you have to teach us how to choose the pencils. And she was right. So I said, I tell you what, let me finish this demonstration and I'll give you an answer next week in next week's class. So that was an afternoon class. They were dismissed. And the first thing I did is I went over to Wally World, to the fishing tackle department. You see, because this is a fishing tackle box. But if it says art on it and it's made by the same company, it's 4 times more expensive. So for less than $5, I was able to get a box. So then the next thing I did was I divided it into 8 categories just by putting the dividers in the center. And I divided that by the primary and secondary colors for 6 of them. And then the browns and the black and the white and the grays and the 2 other remaining slots. And then eventually I made this nice chart for them to be able to fill in themselves so they could make their color selections. And then I pasted it on the lid of the box. Now, the idea for doing this I got from Whitman's sampler, because my mom never liked it when I used to shove my thumbs into the bottoms of the chocolates to find out if it was nut or nougat.
I did
Anyway, this is very effective.
I did the same thing. That's why I loved it when I could read what was in them.
Yeah, me too.
You're awful.
Well, I'm real.
Oh my God. So Lynn has a question. I saw another question earlier, but Lynn, and they are coming up. So thank you so much for all these questions.
Yes.
Appreciate it. And Debbie Cushing had a question. Have you ever tried the Faber-Castell, or however you pronounce it, polychromos pencils?
But the reason I don't use Faber-Castell is because they don't apply as opaque as the Prismacolors do. So this is the paper that we're going to be doing the Bluebird on. This is dark brown, see? I don't use white paper as often as I do tone paper. So I use tone paper. When you use tone paper, you actually work a lot less than you do as on white paper. White paper is the highest value and you have to bring everything down. With tone paper, you've got something in the middle that you can work both ends against.
Pretty cool. Lynn's asking, what do you use to erase when using pastels?
Probably one of the best ones is a kneaded eraser. Those rubbery ones that you can stretch like putty. And I like to use a white plastic eraser a lot too, because it cleans up very well and it doesn't leave anything on the paper as far as a color or anything else. So I use the 2 of those. I hate art gum erasers because they make a mess. So
thank you. I hope that it answers their question. Linda's asking, here's a good one. Is that box on your website?
I don't think so, but it is in my books. And I have it completed. And if you're in the in any of the seminars, I'll provide some more information on that. So.
Cool. Well, maybe if you join our Artful webinar with Mark Menendez, he'll share with you more information on that.
I'll be better prepared.
There you go. Yeah, bring the first pieces you did when you were 2.
Okay.
Vicky's asking, do you have a chart of colors for sale?
I do. I have a color wheel that actually helps with the selection of the colors and the values like I was describing with the 4 tones. I even have in my basic color pencil book, I have an explanation on how to use that chart to be able to make your color selections.
Cool, because I know that it's very helpful for a lot of people to have the color charts. Doesn't matter what your medium is, right?
Yeah, and again, this is kind of like a color chart on the inside of the box, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the one I'm talking about is actually a color wheel with all 150 Prismacolor colors on it.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful. So then you're getting a lot of kudos.
Oh, good.
from
Thank
our
you.
Facebook audience. So you
Excellent.
can go check those out later. I'm not going to embarrass you by telling you all what they're saying.
Oh boy, I'm already embarrassed. This is called Carmine Red.
Well, we're not making you any redder.
Okay.
You're also, my next question was, where else will you be teaching? But you're also going to be teaching a couple more for ARPA webinars. Do you happen to have those in front of you?
I do not. I do not. I thought we were only going to talk about the bluebirds. So.
We are, but that's okay. I mean, because I'm all about whatever you can, put out there, right?
Sure.
Let's see, your books are a great resource. Your charts are great, as I have from you when you taught here in Bradenton.
Bradenton, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is a great book, Mark. I've learned a lot from it. That's Mary Klein.
Thank you, Mary.
So, so you will be doing a lion, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It was magnificent. So I'm anxious to book that. Do you do videos as well? Do you have like a YouTube channel, or do you have videos on your website?
I have some videos that are available through Northlight Books. They did videos with me. I did, I think, seven different videos for them. And 5 of them are probably color pencil.
Mm-hmm.
The rest are, I got some oil painting in those. And a color mixing, which is very interesting. I have a very good color mixing seminar on video for Northlight. I do have a YouTube channel, but it's woefully underused because we've been doing so much traveling and teaching that we just haven't had a chance to sit down and do it. Now you say, well, Mark, everyone has been, at home for the year. What have you been doing? Well, we were doing other things, trying to get other things sewn up. So we didn't get any more videos, but we're planning on doing more. So.
Very good. Do you have a question from Teresa? Do you have open studio time?
I do. That's in my studio in Tampa. And that's the way that most of my weekly classes have been taught, where everyone is working on their own particular subject at their own particular pace. I actually enjoy those more than everyone working on the same subject. And the reason I enjoy that is because I find that the element of competition is reduced greatly when everyone is working on a singular subject. And the other great benefit I have found is that because of that, whenever I'm giving instruction to one person, everyone else in the room is probably benefiting more from the instruction than the person who's being spoken to. So most of the students learn more when I'm speaking to someone else than when I'm speaking to them. So that works out very, very well.
Now with COVID-19, have you still maintained classes, or did you have to shut down for a while?
We were closed down for a little while, then we opened back up for very limited participation. Just this week, we had a much larger class than we normally do. Everyone wearing masks, everyone social distance. Each person had their own table with more than 6 feet apart from that. I have a very nice large studio in Tampa. It's on my website if anybody wants to check out what it looks like.
Cool. Okay, very good. Yeah, because I wondered, because now with your comments about how people could learn from hearing you give instruction to others, is what I'm finding with my Zoom classrooms that I'm hosting, I'm not teaching, but I'm hosting, that some people are afraid to show their work because all the other students see it. Now, I don't know if you've experienced it, but I've experienced as a student, as a teacher, there are some people who are lap painters, and they like to shove their pieces under their lap when the teacher's coming along so the teacher can't see what they're doing. So I'm like, in this environment though, I really, we like to, the teacher would critique your work. is helpful because the other students are seeing what the teacher sees. So I think it's a training of the eyes, getting back to what you said earlier, right?
Correct. Yes. I've never had a problem. The only thing is when you get a person that's new to art in a mixed class like that, open studio, they're a little shy about that, especially if you've had other people in the class that have been taking for a while and have their skills at a good point. But I usually tell them, if you want to soar with the eagles, you got to, be with them. And so eventually they come around and they do that. The other thing is I always tell them that they're going to learn faster than I did because they're receiving the benefit of almost 50 years of teaching. And many of the things that I'm introducing to them, I may have perfected over the last 10 years, maybe, because there's always something to learn.
It's like someone would ask you, so how long did it take you to paint that bird or to pencil that bird, right?
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter from the time you put the pencil to the paper and finished versus all the years of experience that brought you to that
Correct.
pencil to the paper.
Correct. It takes time, but I can usually get people there faster.
Cool. I can't wait for your class. I never had the honor of being able to take a class from you, so I can't wait till I can watch it. I won't be taking it because I'll be hosting it, but I'm going to be listening very intently.
That's great. Thank you.
So Vera's asking, where can we get the paper?
The paper can be gotten available pre-patterned at menendezartstudio.com.
Oh, and you're even giving a coupon code.
Yes, we are.
Hope everyone got that down.
Ship free Bluebird. Ship free Bluebird.
Awesome. And I have a couple wonderful people here. Linda, my assistant, is helping me with making sure that everyone gets the link to your website and the link to your the other tool, the eraser tool you were talking about earlier. So thank you, Linda. She's my girl Friday.
Excellent. I have one of those.
Do ya?
Mrs. Menendez. Without Mrs. Menendez, Menendez Art Studio doesn't do well.
Everybody needs one of those. Marietta is saying he is a fabulous teacher and a real gentleman. Let's see. Teresa, great. Just moved south of Tampa. We'll check this out. Awesome. Then they're talking about taking a road trip to your studio now.
Great.
Would you consider doing a Zoom open studio time?
Yes, we're going to be doing that with some of the students that were attending my studio classes before COVID that cannot attend now due to their health. So I'll be perfecting that so that when I get on Zoom, I'll be able to do that. It's going to be a little tricky because it depends on what kind of quality their camera is. I know that I've got a high definition, but sometimes theirs is not as good,
The critiquing, it makes it hard for the critiquing.
Yeah.
But it can be done, and I can help you. It can be done.
I'll tell you one thing I have, and I should not even say anything about this, but I'm going to. One of the things that I do in my travel teach seminars is if anyone, buys one of our packets and works on it at home without the instructor there, I do have an email on my website. If they scan it or take a picture of it and send it to me, I'll critique it. And I sometimes will even put it into Photoshop and show them what they need to do and then send the directions to them. And at this point, we're not charging for that, but you better hurry because it's getting more and more popular and I'm going to have to start charging for that. But I usually only get 1 or 2 a month, but since COVID, I've been getting more and more of them, So.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens. And the more you put it out there, the more people will respond. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that's
Good.
wonderful.
Thank
The I was going to say, where can they find you? But we put your website address in there. And is your YouTube channel again, Menendez Art Studio, or is it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's it. Menendez Art. I think it's Menendez Art Studio. Yeah.
So I would love to invite you to, if you have a small project, I look for about like 1 hour video time frame, 60 to 90 minutes for the Artfully Connected Facebook group. And we can do a watch party where you can sit in the comfort of your home and I can sit here and we can play the video together for everyone on Facebook to join us. And then they can ask you questions and you can answer them via text, comments and stuff like that. So if you have one or you want to do something new for them, that would be wonderful. So we can talk about that in the
Yeah, thanks for
future.
the invitation.
Yeah. So it's just another way of self-promoting.
Have to do it.
but it is nice. It is fun, and a lot of people do participate. So, is there any more questions from the audience? If you have any questions, now is the time. We have a good few more minutes to go. I can't, again, I'm just marveled over your artwork, and I can't wait to see you in action in the first Opera webinars. And I'm so bad because I know it's coming up. Here it is, 29th. October 29th. Yes. And I believe we're almost full. So if that is something that you're interested in doing, you should get on Artfully. No, let me say that again. artfulwebinars.com and sign up for Mark's class and join us. It's going to be so much fun. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Every bit of this journey that you've taken, that you've joined me on, my eyes have been wow, and more wow. And when I got your first pattern packet, the PDF to hand out to the students, I am like, wow. So if none of you here or whoever you are that never have taken a class with Mark, you're going to be wowed at his pattern packet. There's going to be 20 some odd pages, 26, 20.
Yeah, step by step. Detailed instructions and little arrows pointing to things when you need to know where to place the tones, like that. So thank you for the compliment. Appreciate that.
The work you put into that is I'm so appreciated that I can't, it's appreciated beyond words. Because I looked at that step-by-step photos, and that you must do this in Photoshop. Is that what you use?
Some of it, yeah.
You get all the little arrows to exactly where you want our eyes to go.
Thank you.
And it's like, yeah, there's no mistaking. This is what he wants you to see, and then see it progress. I was just, my jaw was on the floor.
Well, thank you. We get a lot of compliments on our packets. I really put a lot of work into them, but at this point, it's kind of like, kind of rote because I've been doing so many of them. The thing is, though, sometimes I cut and paste and I leave things in there from another packet. So sometimes I don't proofread them as well as I need to, but people seem to get through them all right.
Yeah, I do the same thing. It's like, you're human, so whatever. Teresa's asking, can you get too much pencil down? No. Is there such a no?
Well, she's probably experiencing a phenomenon that happens with the wax. Wax has this finite level where it seems like it doesn't want you to add more layers. As human beings, when we're confronted with opposition, we tend to want to fight back. Unfortunately, that's the wrong approach when you reach that level with the wax. So the best thing to do is, instead of pressing firmer to try to get it to apply, you actually do the reverse. You use light pressure and you put that layer on top of the other wax, and it goes on just fine. So it's infinite the amount of layers you can put on there once you get used to that phenomenon.
Very interesting. Because, yeah, I can say that I probably press too hard, then I start indenting the paper.
That can happen. It can happen. There are times to go with heavy pressure, but light pressure and many layers is probably the best way to go.
Here's another question for you. Do you prefer a very sharp pencil or one that's a little bit more rounded and dull?
For the most part, I like a sharp pencil. There are times, like when you're doing a large background, that the tiny point of that pencil seems like you're trying to cover a football field, even though it's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So if it dulls a little bit in that instance and I'm using a little firmer pressure, it works out all right. But for a lot of what I do, I like the pencil sharp.
Very good. Yeah, because I noticed that there were teachers that I've taken classes from said, I want very, very sharp. And others like, no, I want it very dull. I'm like, okay. Who are you?
Works better sharp. Works better sharp.
Very good. So do you have any last words to tell your audience, that some words of wisdom of your almost 50 years in this business?
Yeah, you'll never make a living teaching art. That's what and I've been doing it for all this time. The best thing I can say is that I don't believe in talent the way that most people do. I get complimented for being talented, but I don't believe in talent. I believe in practice and hard work. So I feel that anyone can learn how to do art as long as they apply themselves for it. And as much as you invest in it is what you're going to get back. Does it mean your work is going to hang in the Louvre? Perhaps not. But you'll get hours and hours of enjoyment. And with some good instruction, it's amazing how far you can go.
Very, very nicely said. Very nicely said. So I want to thank you, Mark, for joining me tonight for Meet the Artist and joining the Artful Webinars family. And I look forward to your webinars coming up. And everyone else here, thank you for joining us tonight and visiting with Mark and myself. And come back again. And I think the next one is Beth Wagner in a couple weeks. And so you'll meet her. And hopefully we'll see more of Mark in the future in our group and on the webinars. So until next time, remember to always paint with heart, or in this case, pencil with heart. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for having me in this show.
You're welcome.